Hey all, Baruch Halevi, B here from Soul Centered. Welcome. We're talking today about numbers and the Enneagram and how I hate numbers, which is kind of strange since I am an Enneagram teacher and I use it in my practice and in my own life, and it's built around numbers, based on numbers. Maybe you've seen it before. It is this weird thing that looks has nothing to do with the butterfly. I threw that in there into butterflies, but is looks like it's built around numbers because it is built around numbers. And I want to talk to you about those numbers. But first, I want to talk to you about why I hate numbers. And I hate numbers because numbers can destroy people. Numbers reduce. They're important. Look, we need numbers. They're building blocks of science and nature and reality. We need numbers. We need numbers to tell what time it is. We need numbers to communicate how much money to exchange in this process. We need numbers in our lives, but too often we use and abuse these numbers. Let me give you an example. What's your IQ? Right? I want to quantify you. I want to limit you. I want to reduce you to this number, and that number tells me your worth in an educational and an intellectual setting. Here's another number. How much are you worth? Right? What's your number? How much are you worth? I mean, even think about that statement. What's your net worth? Right? We have equated that number in our society, especially with who we are and what we're essentially worth. Here's one. This is a charged one. How much do you weigh? How much do you weigh? What does that number do to you and for you? For most of us, we carry around deep wounds, baggage, trauma around the number of our weight or our age, or the list goes on. Now again, numbers are amoral. They're not good or bad. It's what we do with them. But we as humans, we can abuse and hurt and destroy people. My teacher, Dr. Viktor Frankl, wore a number on his arm, 119104. Why? Because one of the first things the Nazis did to him in the Holocaust was they took away his name, right? His personhood, the deeper aspect of who he was, and they replaced it not with a name but with a number, because you can't put names, human beings, into ovens, but you can put a number. It's just one number. It's just two numbers. It's just 6 million numbers who went up in the ovens of Auschwitz and Treblinka and other death camps, because the Nazis are an extreme, but they remind us of what is possible if we don't stand guard against numbers. Why do I share all this with you? Because I am conflicted around the Enneagram. When I hear people turning it into cocktail party conversation, and even worse than that, when people start using it to limit other people. Oh, he's an Enneagram 8. Of course he's angry. Oh, she's an Enneagram 2. Of course she's a helper. We reduce the complexity, the nuance of who somebody is to that number, and that number becomes a container. I once read a long time ago a study, or an informal study, of a farmer who was growing pumpkins, and he just did this experiment, and he put the pumpkins when they were young into different size and shape containers, and what did he find? That those pumpkins grew to the size or the shape of their container. We know this is true in the wild, right? Animals will grow to a certain size, but then you bring them, you domesticate them, you put an alligator into a tank, and it grows to the size of the container. We are no different than that. We grow to the size of our containers. And when we're using the Enneagram or any typing system to say this is who you are, right? This is your Myers-Briggs container. This is your Strength Finders container. This is your Enneagram container. When we use those as limits, they become prisons, and ultimately they do exactly the opposite, at least of what the Enneagram is supposed to do. The Enneagram is not supposed to be a life sentence. I sentence you to your Enneagram 9 type. In fact, it's the opposite. And this is the work I do with the Enneagram, synthesizing Dr. Frankl's work, logotherapy, which is all about defying your number. becoming your true self, your spirit, your name, whatever you want to call it. There is an essence that is you, that was, is, and will always be you, that is uniquely you, that cannot be quantified, God forbid, reduced to a number. And so the true Enneagram, the way it's designed and meant to truly be used, is not to become your number, it's to defy your number. I'm an Enneagram 8 when I'm in reaction, when I'm on autopilot, when I'm unconscious in my life. When somebody pisses me off, I react like an 8. 8s can do great damage when they are in reactivity, in reaction. But when they can harness that anger, right? They can turn it into fuel, and they can do good in the world. Supposedly Martin Luther King was an 8. Mother Teresa was an 8, right? These were amazing human beings who defied their number. They defied that reactivity of the 8. They learned to harness it and do what Dr. Frankl said, which is respond as an 8. Or sometimes I'll choose to respond like a 9. A 9 can be more peaceful, right? More unifying. And so sometimes I'll choose to respond like a 9. Or sometimes I'll go to my other wing and I'll respond like a 7, a little bit lighter, a little bit more easygoing. Or maybe I'll use the energy line of my 2 and I'll choose to respond like a 2, to say yes a little more freely, to help the person across from me. But that's the point. There's all kinds of pathways and possibilities that the Enneagram just reminds us that we are not sentenced to our number. You are not a 9 or a 2 or a 4 or a 6. That is how you react. But we are not here to react. I'm going to end with Dr. Frankl's statement. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies our freedom and our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our happiness. We are not here to react to our circumstances. We are here to respond to our life. We are not here to be a number. We are here to be our name, our true number, our true self, our true essence, our spirit. That's the work we're here to do. The Enneagram is just another great resource for you to defy your number, to live your name. If you would like to learn how to defy your number and live your name, I offer an Enneagram assessment and a one-time consultation with me. I utilize the finest Enneagram testing system on the market. Top-notch system, gives you a 22-page personalized report, and then we talk about what it means, help you kind of debrief around it, and start to implement and integrate it into your life so you can defy your number. And I also work with people ongoing utilizing the Enneagram. But it's all about defying your number, living your name. Would love to hear from you. info@mysoulcentered.org. Jump over at My Soul Centered. Learn more about us. Until the next time, Shalom, Salam, Namaste, and peace.